When it comes to wealth, Americans and Chinese take completely different paths. Americans are known for master investors like Warren Buffett, who built lasting wealth through the stock market and long-term thinking. The Chinese, on the other hand, have bold entrepreneurs like Jack Ma, who rose from nothing to create a massive e-commerce empire. So, who's truly built to last when it comes to wealth? How do Americans get rich? In the United States, if you ask an average middle-class person how to get rich, chances are the answer will be simple. Invest in the stock market, buy real estate, or get involved in a tech startup. This is not just a slogan. It has become part of American financial culture, where wealth often comes from a mix of smart investing and innovation. And to see this more clearly, we can look at one legendary name, Warren Buffett. He is not only one of the richest men on the planet, but also living proof of the American way of building wealth. Slow but steady, patient but highly effective. Buffett bought his very first stock at the age of 11. While most kids his age were still playing games, he was saving up small amounts of money to invest in the stock market. What made him truly different was not starting early, but the way he chose companies. Buffett never rushed into hot, risky investments. Instead, he focused on businesses with sustainable value, simple models, and long-term profitability. Take Coca-Cola as an example. When Buffett purchased shares of the company, he did not just see a soft drink brand. He saw a global distribution network, a product that could last for centuries, and a massive market with nearly unshakable demand. Time proved him right. Coca-Cola became one of his most successful investments, earning him billions simply by holding patiently. With Apple, the story was similar. When many doubted that Apple was just a fashionable phone company, Buffett recognized the real value: a tightly connected ecosystem of products, fiercely loyal customers, and a reliable stream of cash flow. Today, Apple stands as the single largest investment in Berkshire Hathaway, the company he runs. What makes Buffett truly unique is his patience. He does not chase short-term gains. He can hold onto a stock for decades, sometimes for life. While most investors panic and sell during downturns, Buffett usually sits still. In fact, he often buys more when prices drop. That calmness has allowed his fortune not only to grow but to remain stable through countless economic crises. But Buffett's wealth is not just about numbers on paper. It reflects his philosophy of life. Even now, he still lives in the house he bought in 1958 in Omaha. He drives a modest car. He eats hamburgers and drinks Coca-Cola almost every day. He shows that being rich does not mean showing off. It means having the freedom to live life on your own terms. And in many ways, everyday Americans follow a similar path on a smaller scale. They invest in the stock market through retirement accounts like the 401k or through index funds. They see real estate not just as a place to live, but as an asset to build and pass on to the next generation. And many are not afraid to take risks in startups, because even one success can create a fortune that changes their lives forever. The American path to wealth is built on trust. Trust in a transparent financial system. Trust in the long-term growth of the economy. And most importantly, trust in the idea that money should work for you, not the other way around. How do the Chinese get rich? If Warren Buffett is the symbol of how Americans build lasting wealth through financial investment, then in China, Jack Ma represents the spirit of daring to dream and daring to risk, a spirit that has transformed millions of lives in just a few decades. Unlike Buffett, who was born in a developed country with a stable system, Jack Ma grew up in poverty in a China still struggling with uncertainty. He failed his university entrance exams multiple times. He was rejected for more than 30 jobs. Even KFC refused to hire him. By all appearances, he was just an ordinary man with no real shot at wealth. Yet it was from that hardship that Jack Ma discovered an entirely new path. In the late 1990s, when the internet was still a mystery to most Chinese, Jack Ma was stunned when he searched the word beer online and found no results from China. That moment convinced him that the internet would change the world, and that if China didn't seize the opportunity, it would be left behind. And so Alibaba was born. What began as a simple website connecting buyers and sellers carried an ambitious vision to help millions of small Chinese businesses reach global markets. While many doubted that people would ever buy products online, Jack Ma staked his entire career on that dream. Where Buffett built wealth slowly and patiently through stocks, Jack Ma chose speed and boldness. Alibaba grew at breakneck pace, and soon came Taobao, a direct rival to eBay in China. When eBay invested heavily to dominate the market, Jack Ma relied on his deep understanding of local culture. The result? Taobao crushed eBay, proving that sometimes risk-taking and local insight are the ultimate advantages. But Jack Ma didn't stop there. He created Alipay, a digital payment platform that many banks initially resisted. Yet he understood a simple truth. Without a safe way to pay, e-commerce could never truly take off. Once again, he embraced risk and won big. Today, Alipay is one of the largest electronic payment systems in the world, reshaping the spending habits of an entire nation. Jack Ma's fortune, however, is not just about his own companies. It reflects a broader financial culture in China. While Americans often invest in stocks or retirement funds, in China real estate is the true gold mine. Chinese households save aggressively, sometimes as much as 30 to 40% of their income, and pour those savings into property. With the belief that land prices can only rise, home ownership has become the ultimate marker of success. Jack Ma once said, "If you don't give up, you still have a chance." That quote captures not only his own resilience, but also the mindset of an entire generation of Chinese entrepreneurs, willing to take risks, embrace uncertainty, and chase change. Yet this path to rapid wealth comes with serious vulnerabilities. Buffett has rarely had to fear government interference in his business. Jack Ma, however, experienced the opposite. In 2020, after publicly criticizing China's financial system, his company Ant Group saw its record-breaking IPO suspended within weeks. Jack Ma disappeared from public view for months. His fortune shrank by tens of billions of dollars almost overnight. And that is the key difference. Americans build wealth on a transparent and relatively stable financial system. The Chinese, on the other hand, often grow rich through speed and opportunity, but remain vulnerable to political pressure and the risks of concentrating too much wealth in a single sector like real estate. If Buffett embodies certainty and stability, Jack Ma represents explosive growth, a man who reshaped an economy and rose to immense wealth at lightning speed, but also someone who shows how fragile that wealth can be when circumstances shift. Spending habits. If Warren Buffett and Jack Ma represent two completely different paths to wealth, then the way they spend money reveals an even sharper contrast, not just between two men, but between American and Chinese culture itself. Take Warren Buffett. He is one of the richest men on the planet, with a fortune of over $100 billion. Yet he still lives in the house he bought back in 1958 in Omaha for about $31,500. No extravagant mansions, no flashy supercars. His car is an old Cadillac, and his breakfast is often nothing more than a hamburger and a can of Coca-Cola. For Buffett, happiness does not come from luxury spending, but from knowing exactly where his money is working and how it is growing. He once said something deeply striking. If you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell things you do need. That philosophy turned him into a symbol of simple living, frugal, disciplined, and focused on long-term investment. It is also a very American mindset, pragmatic, calculated, seeing money as a tool to open opportunities rather than as something to show off. But here is the irony. Looking at the broader picture, Americans actually spend more freely than the Chinese. The culture of spend first, pay later runs deep in their daily lives. They are willing to borrow money to buy houses, cars, vacations, even expensive dinners. Credit cards are essential in almost every household. It may sound risky, but this habit fuels a dynamic economy. Money is constantly in circulation, businesses grow, the stock market thrives, and new investment opportunities keep emerging. Now look at Jack Ma. He stands on the opposite side of the spectrum. Jack Ma loves the stage, loves hosting grand events with thousands of employees cheering. At times, he even turned himself into a singer or a dancer during corporate galas. For him, spending is not just about enjoyment. It is about inspiration. It is about proving to the world that the impossible has been achieved. Yet among ordinary Chinese people, the picture flips completely. They are among the most frugal in the world, sometimes saving 30 to 40% of their income. And nearly all of that savings goes into one thing: real estate. Because in their eyes, owning a home is not just about shelter. It is a measure of success, a prerequisite for marriage, a symbol of stability. Many families sacrifice entertainment, clothing, even basic comforts, just to scrape together enough for an apartment, even if it means decades of heavy debt. This contrast is striking. Americans spend freely, even on credit, but their money fuels the economy and flows strongly into financial investments. The Chinese save relentlessly, funneling everything into real estate, believing land and property are the safest store of value. So Buffett, with his simple lifestyle, embodies financial freedom born from discipline and long-term investing, while Jack Ma, with his bold displays of wealth, reflects another reality. For those who rise from poverty in China, wealth is not just something to have, but something to prove. Which leaves us with a bigger question. Is wealth meant to bring comfort, or to prove yourself? Should money be preserved so it multiplies, or spent so you feel truly alive? So who is truly richer? The answer may not lie in numbers, but in perspective. For some, wealth means financial security and freedom of choice. For others, it is recognition, influence, and the power to prove that they have risen above the odds. In the end, America and China show us that there is more than one way to become rich. But the real question remains: once you have it, what will you do with it?